Hello and welcome to the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast. It's a big one. It is Friday, January 21st. In this episode, Liverpool get past Arsenal. United luck out against our ex-girlfriend Brentford. But first, Mike, how do you feel after scoring 2 goals in 9 seconds in the 95th minute?
I feel alive. I feel alive. I feel great. I feel amazing. It was the best 3 to 4 minutes of Tottenham fandom since the Ajax Lucas Moura miracle in 2019, and that is not even close to an exaggeration. It has been tough sledding since that goal went in, literally, and it was that moment of just invincibility. You're like, oh my God, literally anything is possible. I was sitting here with my brother who's visiting for the week, and we were chatting about, we were talking about the game, how betting on Tottenham was a sucker bet. I had friends when it was 1-1 ask me, like, Mike, what do you think? Like, hit Tottenham live? And I was like, fucking don't do that. And then Leicester went up 2-1. I was like, I told you, like, this is just what they do. The expected goals, depending on what site you look at, there's a couple of different numbers. It's 5. They were expected to score 5 fucking goals in this game. It's insane.
Well, didn't I shared it with you somewhere in at the half. I was like, whoa, what is going on? It was 22-10.
All over them.
Yeah.
All over them. Yeah. So it was a win that they deserved, that they didn't deserve, that they ended up getting miraculously. It felt unbelievable. Højbjerg has caught a lot of shit from Tottenham fans. Has caught a lot of shit on this show. Højbjerg was amazing. Matt Doherty, fantastic for 45 minutes. So
I don't think Royal's going to play again.
He may not. And there's a
lot. It's not good.
Just everything finally started to click a little bit in that game. Like I said, 5 expected goals through the whole 90 minutes. Now,
I was listening.
Plenty of we can talk about how Leicester found their way to the back of the net twice. That's still same old Tottenham.
You were both Spursy and anti-Spursy in the same game.
And there's multiple videos of the difference between, like, the sections between the end of the away support and come on in. All right, we've got a guest host.
He's gonna need headphones.
Well, he can have one of mine. It's fine.
Good evening.
Yeah,
hey, brother, how are you?
My brother Chris.
Good day, sir.
We're just
going through the Tottenham game.
We're talking about the Tottenham game. We're trying to figure out how that happened. And then at the same time, like at the line, I saw multiple videos at the line of the away support. There's Leicester fans like, fuck you, you fucking ballers. And in the same second of the video, the guy turns the camera and Bergwijn is played in by Kane. And the guy literally, you see his soul leave his fucking body. And it's fantastic. It's fantastic. So,
but there's
a lot there. Hugo Lloris signs a 2-year contract. I think it was 2 years.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hope in Tottenham land. And as I look at the schedule, they fucking have to go to Stamford Bridge again on Sunday.
Why are you afraid of Chelsea? We'll get into Chelsea.
I'm not afraid of them. I'm just tired of them.
Let me go through the scores. There were a handful of midweek scores that we have to cover. First, Burnley-Watford is canceled again. Burnley have 5 games in hand. My beloved Brighton put the fucking whoop onto Chelsea at home. 1-1 draw. A thundering header from the best team still no one respects. Even though expected goals say it wasn't close, it was close. Brighton were good. Chelsea still not good. We just discussed it. Leicester 2, Spurs 3. Leicester are terrible. Daka scored, which is nice. Madison scored, which was nice. Soyuncu is the best, worst player I've ever seen collapse into nothing faster than, I don't know. And then Brentford 1, Manchester United 3. Brentford was so good in the first half. They did exactly what we wanted them to do. They got that 25 minutes of thunder. They did everything they were supposed to, but United simply are better. I had a thought about this, and Brentford are clearly trying to do finishes for precision and not power, and that hurt them in this game. And I think that is like wrapping up week 16 and week 24. There's a lot of things being mixed together. We don't know what week of the season we're in. We're catching up with games. We're going to have midweek games the rest of the season. But let us get deeper a little bit into Spurs before we go to, I think, Liverpool. Arsenal is the right path. What I really liked about this, and you mentioned it, is Højbjerg passing forward.
Yeah, finally.
Like
right?
But what I noticed was, remember we talked about Winks the same way. Conte getting into them, that it's, if you pass this ball sideways one more fucking time, I'm going to kick you so hard up the ass, I'm going to pull my wig out of your mouth. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
he's just, enough. Just, we're better than these people. Go get them. That's Soyuncu. He's terrible. Kick his ass. Again, by the way, we talked about this 10 weeks ago. Fucking Peter Schmeichel is the problem. No one wants to say it. Peter and Casper, all the Schmeichels.
Peter taught him to be the problem.
Whatever. He's old. He gives up goals. I don't know where he was going with Bergwijn.
I don't think that. Well, his hesitancy was the problem, right? As soon as Kane plays that ball, if you come off your line, you probably get there.
But
right?
here's the thing: like, a back four lives first from their goalkeeper. That's the first thing you need.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
And it's clear there's something wrong, and maybe it's because they know they've defended balls that Schmeichel has stopped before, that he no longer stops.
Well, it takes an adjustment period, right? You're like, you assume that is effectively a chance that's squashed, right? And you're like, all right, that's, I don't almost, you put it out of your mind. And also at the same time, Bergwijn's coming on and he's totally fresh. He's finally had 50 minutes to warm up, and he, like Kane just said, go get it.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I will be fair, like, this isn't the game to pick on Schmeichel. He made like 47 saves.
No, he was great. He was actually quite good in this game. And but you're right. But statistically this year, he has not been very good at all.
Yeah.
So actually, quick, I haven't ever looked at the stats of him historically, but in those years when Leicester was really performing, was he having one of those years where he was performing whatever the expected goals against, he was doing much better?
I don't think they have it that far back. He's been historically good, but this season he has been bad.
All right.
Yeah. No,
and
that's
the
fair.
the best goalkeeper is Jose Sa by a lot. Like, it's like,
yeah, no, and he's kept
goals.
Wolves in games almost by himself.
Wolves refuses to have more than a goal in the entire game.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
All right.
So Leicester are minus 3.5, which isn't too bad. They were worse. They've gotten better. So maybe Schmeichel's gotten better. But now De Gea is now at plus 10.
He's having a renaissance here too, though. I mean,
yeah.
And we talked about it, how I picked him in our halfway team of the season for keeper of the year.
Yeah.
And I get the Ramsdale hype because he wears a Gunner shirt and he's in the conversation, but the correct answer is Sa. I went with De Gea. But there's 2 or 3
reputation plus.
Right. But no, I mean, and if you were, what we probably should have done, by the way, was have the best and the worst 11 of the year, and we should do that at the end of the season.
Did you notice that Brentford ditched their goalkeeper that I said sucked?
Yes, yeah, they Brentford, big fans of the show, obviously.
I was like, this guy's not good. He's got to go.
No, well, who was it? Their starter got hurt, and you called it out right away. Yeah. You can draw a straight line between their ascendancy, that injury, and their frankly current form, and we're going 2-3 months later on this. So
they'll be fine.
I'm blanking on his name, but yeah. So nobody knows anyone's names on Brentford. It's okay if we don't know their names. I know.
Well, all right. I know Brian Mbeumo has hit the post 47 times.
Yeah,
and that's the key thing that I know, and that they don't shoot hard. They all were doing side-footed shots, and they have 4 Danish people in the midfield now. It's a little too much for me.
That's too much. Too many Danish. And there was interesting. Chris actually saw the end of that game. It was 3-0 United, and Brentford scored a late kind of consolation goal. And what was the line that Peter Drury had?
Oh, it was devastating. He gets all excited, and he just goes, "Oh, and there it is!" And so it's during the day, I'm looking at my computer, so I don't know how much time's left on the clock. He goes, "There it is, and Brentford has a marginal interest." And I was just like,
Peter Drury, one of the all times.
Yeah, but they got a goal they deserved. I think the thing for Brentford is, and we can just slip into that game, is just United played badly in the first half and could have easily been losing by a lot. Like, they hit the post twice, I think. De Gea again saving their ass, and they're just not quite in the right space. I think Rangnick is figuring out he can't play the Deuces Wild formation, which I'm calling it because I want to put some American football.
2-2-2-2.
Yeah, some American football style. We're running Deuces Wild. And he has figured out, if I'm gonna play Ronaldo, I gotta have people running with him. So he put Elanga and Greenwood in. Elanga is a runner. This is the thing that United under Woodward have not been able to figure out. It's, if you don't have guys who work, or your supersize don't work, you have to put guys who work in. Like, the first thing a player needs to do is work. If you have all class, all flash, you lose. So he's finding guys who will work and have enough quality to get, Rashford, Sancho, you can't play until you run like Elanga.
Right,
Period.
exactly. And what do we, it's not quite, it's sort of it's like one level above what we always call Englishness on the show, right? Like it's the get stuck in, the piece where you need to go get the ball, win the 50-50 so that you can free Ronaldo or Greenwood or whoever on the wing, right?
The Milner gene.
The Milner gene, that's actually a good, we might use that.
Football cliches are there is truth. You earn the right to play. You've got to run, you've got to win 50-50s, then you can go do your thing. And that's what my guy Cucurella, you want Cucurella on Spurs. Please.
Fine. Yes.
Please go watch. Go, everyone, go look at Brighton games and watch Cucurella and Lamptey.
I would take Lamptey, but we'll see. Maybe
everyone else in Europe.
Maybe Doherty's.
Well, not Chelsea. They let him go. They just ditched his ass.
Yeah.
By the way, I was watching the ESPN show that I know you think I'm retarded for watching, but I watched it anyway.
What, Craig Burley?
Yeah, and Burley stops in the middle of it, and he's just like talking about Chelsea being bad, and he takes a beat, and he goes, "They had De Bruyne and Salah."
You said that today.
We were just talking about it. I saw in passing, either, I don't know if it's in effect or being floated, a rule of a cap of amount of loan players.
They're trying to work on it, yes.
Yeah. So, and I was just making the point of how I'm in favor of it.
It is only to international. You can't loan internationally. You have to keep them internally. But FIFA will then try to sort of force the countries to do that. The thing that's crazy about
step in the right direction, it seems like, and that's a biased statement to be fair, like whether you agree with that or not. My whole point was I felt that the current system allowed for just kind of an abuse of the example of letting De Bruyne and Salah go while also stunting the growth of how many other players.
I don't know. I like the deregulated nature of football, and I don't like the idea of FIFA telling the world how to manage their leagues. Fuck you. We do it how we do it.
Okay, fair. So if it were to come for the FA as opposed to
right, if it's by don't tell me how to fucking run my league.
That's fair.
Because I think about it in terms of like weird MLS things. Like Don Garber is always like, if fucking Roger Goodell had to deal with a governing body that was 2 levels up from my league, he would lose his mind. Like the idea that FIFA's rules can affect the MLS. They're just like, fuck you. It's my goddamn league. In my country, I want to do what the fuck I want. We're having goddamn shootouts and the clock's going the other way.
This is how we do it.
Right. And it doesn't work, of course. But anyway, we should probably get into Liverpool, Arsenal. I didn't watch the whole game.
We did. Okay. So
Arsenal,
Chris is, as our resident Liverpool fan, who
he had the first 15 minutes, Arsenal, I'd say.
They definitely did. Yeah, no, they came out hot.
That was, absolutely.
I'll let you take the floor there, Liverpool fan.
Yeah, no, so they came out hot. Martinelli proved all the Trent haters correct on his defense for the first 15 minutes. It was just...
Which is that...
And I'm not defending it. I don't like when he's one-on-one. Put it that way.
You can see there's a basketball thing. You can see it. He doesn't get in a stance. He's too upright.
He's hesitant. He's literally like, what's this guy gonna do every time?
No, he stands. He's way too upright. He's not on his toes, and guys just go past him. Listen, it doesn't mean you don't play him. He's fucking incredible.
Yeah, no, but the people were like, he's flawless. I'm like, guys, come on.
He's very nice.
Yeah, no, he's
and
really
he proved
good.
it in both the goals. Incredible passes. Just like, get the fuck out of here with that.
Dude. Also, how about that Thiago Jota? I had said earlier, I was kind of making the point of, he reminded me of when Mane had came over And just after a while, like, I don't know, I'm always a little hesitant to jump on the new signing. Like, oh, this guy scored a couple goals right away. I just always hate that kind of perspective. And Jota just, for probably 12, 18 months, just consistent performances when healthy and doing everything, kind of talk about making all the runs and doing everything you need. Absolutely love him.
So I have an interesting thought. So we know Arsenal are through the momentum we talked about with Liverpool are through to the final?
Yep, to the final now.
The final, okay. Against
Chelsea.
Potentially Chelsea. Against Chelsea, yeah. That would have been tough a month ago. Now I don't think it's so tough, depending on when Salah and Mane come back. But I have a big question for you. You have that front three of Firmino, Mane, and Salah. They're on over 5 years together. Unheard of. No three players have played together up front like that ever. It's bizarre. It's like the core four time. It would be if like those guys had played even longer, like 20 years together. Who should go with the knowing that you have Jota?
To be honest, I don't think there's a right answer because I think
there's an answer. I know the answer.
No, because I think you turn it into a 4-man committee. Exactly, basically what they're doing, and then Firmino eventually is the one who bites the dust. Unless you're not going to get any market value for any of them at this point. Really,
are you kidding?
No,
sure
you'll get it for Salah or Mane.
But I would say not market value that's worth getting rid of. I don't want to.
No, they're not worth. No. They're not.
I'm willing to lose Firmino now, but it's not going to get anything.
See, I think it's the other way around. I think the Mane is the weak link, and I think that Bobby is not. Even though he doesn't score, he's really the midfield number 10 linchpin that you don't know you have, that you need, because when he's not playing, you don't create anything.
The reason I don't agree with that as much is I don't think that our 4-3-3 works in the way of having the number 10 linchpin the way it did. When we won the Champions League, that was how our offense operated. We don't work like that as much anymore. We're going back to the 2017 Salah up top through the middle. So I totally hear you, but
right, the team that couldn't defend and would just play up and down.
Oh, how fun was that, man? It was like the 2013-14 all over again.
We'd say it all the time, yeah.
Oh man,
yeah.
You're not. You're 20 points behind. Just don't worry about it. You're fine. Don't enjoy it. Enjoy.
We were saying this the other day. I mean, Liverpool, and I think
there's nobody who's going to win other than City.
No, it's like they're a cup team, and it's not a knock on them. It's not a knock on Chelsea.
Exactly what it is.
But they're a cup team now, and so now you've got two.
Who's a cup team now?
Liverpool. Well, frankly, fucking everybody except for City.
I was going to say
Liverpool and Chelsea specifically, right? Because they're in all three competitions. Liverpool and Chelsea are literally already in the final in one of them. They're both. I think they have advantageous matchups in the round of 16 in the Champions League.
No, we did until they redid it, and then we got injured.
That's correct. Well, I mean, come on.
I mean, I'm not actually salty about it. Just the way you teed it up, like come on.
Sure. But yeah, I mean, so
the thing is like even with this sort of sputtering Chelsea and sputtering Liverpool, more due to the African Cup of Nations and. Who knows if Van Dijk ever got to 100% and all the things that happen, whatever. The midfield basically disappearing because Milner and Henderson should never, ever, ever play together. And they do sometimes, which is baffling. But I think that Liverpool, we've talked about it a million times. I'm sure Mike's brought it up. Liverpool's 11 plus Anfield is the best group in the world. And that 11, everyone knows what that 11 is, right? It's Fabinho, Henderson, and not Milner.
And then Thiago, Ginny, whoever it
is. And then the 4, Robertson, TAA,
Van Dijk, either Gomez, Matip, Konate, whoever, fill in the blank.
Matip, I think, is the better one of the he's taken the role. So we know that group over 2 legs with Anfield, if they're there, they win. The thing is, they can't lose one guy. Any piece comes out of that group, and it doesn't work.
Yeah,
basically, right? Whereas City, and I was listening to the two Robbies podcast, and they had Steve Boyer on. Yes, a hardcore Manchester United. He literally worked for Manchester United TV, but at least he's fair. He's just like the City squad. We were saying it's 18 deep. Now I think it's 25.
Sorry.
There's just no weak link.
Yeah,
it's a weak link sport, and City literally have no weak link. Like, just bring it up, and I didn't even think about it because City played so well. No Diaz against Chelsea. John Stone just come back out of the fucking wilderness.
Yep.
No problem.
Yeah. Well, that's classic Pep, right? Like, throw him into the Wolves, see if he can fly. And that way, when I need him, he's there, right?
Yeah.
And this was a game where, like, if Chelsea won that game, not even if they drew, if they won that game, then they're the old guy from Monty Python, like, I'm not dead yet. But, like, you're still, like, it's still City's to lose by a comfortable margin, right? Because at that point, you're still, I think, 6 points clear, maybe 7, 8.
It would have been seven
with a game. So you're really realistically between 9 and 10.
Yeah.
So he goes, this is a big one. This is a big test. Let's see how you do. Because in the event that Diaz goes down, that something happens, I can call on you, John Stones.
The thing is, I trust John Stones. I know that there are portions of some of those seasons where he was the best defender on the team. He and Laporte were fucking incredible. Like, It's in him. He's in the January 3rd, 2019 game. It's his foot off the line.
It's his clearance. Come on, I know.
I'm going to kick you because that game, when I mention it, I get goosebumps and I could cry because that was the greatest game
Speaking
I've ever
seen. And you pointed this out.
That Sane shot.
Yeah.
You pointed this out, going back to Spurs for a second. It is the latest game in Premier League history to go from down to up and winning. And it unseated. You know what it was?
My game, 2011.
Your game, the Aguero game. So Chris even said, like, oh, man, that was an awesome game. Like, it kind of sucks that that's what it beat. And I feel the same way. But you know what? That was fucking awesome. That was good. It wasn't quite Aguero level.
I mean, we've sort of lost direction on the show, and it's fine because we're probably covering on all the teams we want to cover. But I do think about, like, glory and where my team is and where Spurs is and where Liverpool are compared to Man United and compared to how they're covered and all these things. Like, Ronaldo throws a pissy fit on the field. It's the lead headline and everyone talks about the United game, right? And the Spurs thing was B block in a lot of podcasts. Just to like, oh, wasn't that fun? That's why we love football. So it's that kind of thing. And then cities are always like, I don't know what to say about them, but it's like what? Like, whereas if it was United playing that way, every player would be dissected. There would be no question whether it was the greatest team of all time.
Right.
It just would be. They just already were, and they would just have.
Ronaldo's going to carry them to the title. He's winning all those games. So remember when Ronaldo was going to carry United
I did,
to the
and
title?
I thought, and I did say it on the pod. I really thought that.
Oh, actually, that wasn't even shot at you.
No. Ronaldo, I thought was the right group of players. We just didn't realize the sort of iceberg of damage that Ole was putting on that team. Like, they just literally haven't been coached for 4 years. And again, Mourinho might be an asshole and he might destroy clubs, but he might also not be wrong, right? He might also be like, these guys are fucking assholes. They suck. Like, I can't work with them at all. I can't. And then I was looking through the seasons the other day just to go through it. And that Mourinho team that finished in second to City when the Centurion team, he was like, that was my best performance. It was. They led the league in defense.
Mm-hmm.
They had 15 terrible.
That was not.
That was
nothing.
That was the first year that Maguire was on the team, I think, right?
No. Maguire came after because he threw a fucking hissy fit after because he didn't get Maguire.
Right.
He got Bailly instead of Maguire.
Mm-hmm.
He had Phil Jones and Bailly.
Right.
So where do you want to go?
Well, we've got games coming up as later today. So, it's not much of one. It's Watford and Norwich City. However, is
like the 8th time they've tried to play?
It is, probably. It is one of the biggest games in is becoming a 4-man race for 17th place, right? So, so this one is big for me. It's bigger for Norwich than it is for Watford, just because Watford still have the oopsies games in hand. But this is a game where you can't. Either team can't afford to lose, right? If it's a draw similar to Watford Newcastle, no harm, no foul. We live to see another day.
This is a Watford win, and I'll tell you why.
Watford can Norwich score. Is fucking terrible.
Watford can score. Norwich can't score. And Watford's weakness is the defense, and they will not get broken down by this team. And so
no, I agree.
I think the biggest thing I think this relegation battle is really interesting is I think Burnley has no shot. Those games in hand don't matter. Like I don't think they can score enough unless Cornet goes nuts. Like we talked about it last week. The only thing that makes you think that Burnley is not going down is Dyche. It's all on reputation. There's no reason for that team to stay up. None.
No, absolutely.
Zero. Like just that they're up for the fight. That's the reason. That's not enough.
It's just that they have more rounds in the fight left, and I'm not going to count them out when the margins are so razor thin. But if we're looking at them on balance, Watford is clearly and we've said this before, of the 4 teams, the most talented, the most resolute. But what they do have is a trigger-happy ownership. And if they lose this game, not only are they going to lose points in the standings to Norwich, but they might fire Ranieri. He's that close. He's that fucking close at all times. You have to always account for that with Watford, right?
You do have to account for madness, for insanity. Yes.
What's that?
You have to account for
always account tax. For variable change, right? So it's like so you've got Watford sitting there teetering on disaster, which could be self-inflicted for all we know. But this is a game that, like you said, this is a game that if you're worth your salt in the Premier League, you go and you beat Norwich City and go, all right. You guys are there. There is a line between us and you, and you guys battle it out.
2 wins takes you way out of that.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And I'm not a Here's one thing to think about: Benitez is out there, and Eddie Howe keeps fucking up. How much will Newcastle just be like, he wasn't available when we hired
3
him
months ago? Yeah, right.
So.
Right.
Maybe.
Wait, so will Nuno then be the second longest tenured coach in the league this year? He might be.
I don't know. I mean, I don't expect Howe to get fired, but you don't know. I mean, it's new owners.
They are a complete black box.
They keep
it's
buying.
Not worth predicting what they're going to do.
They keep buying attacking
players. Kind of what we do here.
I'm like, that's not their problem. They can't stop anything.
No.
Anyway, I haven't watched.
No, I mean, there's so United West Ham going from the relegation fight to the top 4 fight is a huge one on Saturday. I don't know what to make of really either team recently. So I'm really excited for that one. I'm
is it at Old Trafford or at West Ham?
That's at Old Trafford. So I mean, that used to mean something. I don't know that it does right now, but
we're against them at this point.
Yeah.
I can't. The only thing I can think of is how badly West Ham played against Leeds. Like they couldn't defend. Zuma's back in training. That's huge for them. That means that they kind of survived the top 4 without Zuma, who made a difference for them. There's nothing in United's performances that says they are going to beat West Ham. Only historical reasons say that they won't beat West Ham. West Ham are a better team,
and they're better too, though.
What's that?
You could say the same thing about West Ham with United, especially going into Old Trafford.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is based on this season, based on coaching, everything says West Ham should be able to go into United and get a result. But the variable is United are fucking weird. They could just beat them out of the blue because they have so many good players. Like one break. Sancho gets past Cresswell, top bins. You're like, oh, fuck.
Yep. No, absolutely.
But on balance, I don't expect a performance from United on balance that says that they are better than West Ham. They will not perform. They may hang in because that's literally what United do. They hang in and hope De Gea saves them. If De Gea has a bad game, they lose by 3.
Sure.
So you were saying earlier how cliches like they are earned and they do come up. Talking about no backbone, no spine to the team. That's all I see when I watch United for the last how many years. So anytime they had a flashy, Sancho and Ronaldo on the counterattack, absolutely terrifying. But over the balance of any duration, I am not worried by that team at all. And to me, West Ham is the exact team where if you don't have that backbone, unless Ronaldo has a great goal, a corner kick where he jumps 10 feet higher than everybody and gets that goal.
For weeks, though. He hasn't done shit.
Exactly.
For weeks.
So what? You're telling me Antonio or whoever, Bowen, isn't going to grab one and then make it 2-0 and United just can't get back? Like they just have, they have no resources.
I do want to give credit to United. One of the things that you felt like they were weak and they would always give up goals. Now De Gea has been incredible. There have been a lot of clean sheets. They haven't done anything going forward. They've muddled things up, so they could prevent West Ham from scoring. I mean, West Ham are not exactly prolific. Bowen is hit or miss. I mean, he fucking should have had a draw.
He shanked it, yeah.
Shanked it. He just didn't use his head. Literally, he both didn't use his head and literally didn't use his head.
But I mean, going back, like on balance, I would say that the cohesiveness of West Ham says, like you said, that they should go in and get a result.
Or feel good about the game.
Feel good about
regardless of how it comes out.
Absolutely.
Right?
But again, I still default to the star power on United and it being so scattered around the field. Bruno is shooting for fun again. I don't know that Sancho will play, but I mean, Elanga is scoring for fuck's sake now.
Listen.
So I think he had 2 against Brentford yesterday. So yeah, I mean,
it was Rashford who scored 1.
Okay. And again, Rashford's out of the doghouse. So if they're able to control the midfield, this game is going to, I feels like it comes down to if Declan Rice is going to
kick the shit out of them.
Exactly. If he's able to impose his will in the midfield and sort of isolate the Ronaldos and everybody who's on that attacking third for United, then you could see West Ham at least getting a draw comfortably.
Well, I mean, it's about for West Ham. They could lose and play well is the problem. Like United can win and play badly, which is essentially what they do. They win games playing like crap.
Well, that's basically what I
am. I'm weirdly afraid of this Southampton game for City because weird shit happens. I don't know why.
So City's kind of due for one of those stinkers.
They are, but at the same time, you don't have the context of Laurent, who could have a Ferrari and go, man, this thing needs an oil change.
By the way, the Sunday game.
Oh, wait, City feels that way?
Yeah.
Wild.
I always think that I'm going to lose.
But he's self-loathing like you've never seen before.
Yeah.
And so I think that let's say they lose to Southampton. Fart noise, nobody cares. It's still their league.
Yeah. But I do think that Palace against Liverpool at Selhurst is
such a bad
tricky.
Setup.
That could be tricky.
Such a bad setup.
Tricky fixture, especially with the weakness in the midfield of Liverpool. I could see my guy Conor Gallagher, player of the season, fucking getting it done.
He's a big game guy. He shows up. He's got the Chelsea gene, right? He shows up,
good.
and he you saw him against Tottenham. He was foaming at the fucking mouth because he's like, I like beating these people. He's gonna come out and play, and Liverpool is already a little bit thin in the midfield. They just played yesterday, whatever, and it's going to be hard for them to turn around. I get they have the extra day on Sunday, but Crystal Palace is sitting there. Like I said, they're waiting for this game. Vieira's going to have them ready.
Istanbul. Let's fucking go.
I don't think Liverpool's going to win that game, but I don't think it's because of the midfield. The Fabinho, Henderson, Jones midfield is something.
Good. Yeah, Jones being
like
back
when I saw we were talking about it in the build up the Arsenal game. I was like, obviously the lineup's not going to be great. I saw that midfield. I was like, that I'm actually confident they're going to win now. And at no point in the build-up was I willing.
Yeah, as long as it's not Henderson and Milner together, I think.
No, and totally agreed. And they may flip that. They may go Fab, Milner, Jones.
Do not
whatever. I would rather Henderson.
As much as the world loves Milner, and I tweeted
I'm not advocating for him. It's just
I tweeted this is one of the great things is Milner and Wayne Rooney are the same age and came into the league at the same time, and no two human faces could look more different and more destructive. And it's literally like the crack photo that they put up of people from Florida. One person drank and smoked their whole life, and one didn't. And Milner is the one who didn't. Now, it doesn't compare. Like, Rooney's an incredible player, but it just makes you sad. You're like, Ronaldo's playing. He's the same age as Rooney. Milner's playing. He's the same age as Rooney. Now, Rooney will just go, well, I had a better time, so fuck you guys.
Rooney just looks
did you fuck someone's grandmother? Because I did.
Rooney, you walk into a bar, Rooney looks at the ex-cop who's just sitting there, just absolutely wasted on a Tuesday night.
The guy got arrested for being drunk while playing for DC United. Like,
yeah, right.
What are you doing, guy? Who's he yelling at? It's like he couldn't get any of the fucking scouse out of him.
Right.
Scumbag.
So the Sunday slate has 4, I'd argue, good games. We talked about Palace and
Burnley
Liverpool.
probably won't play, by the way.
Burnley, you think Burnley's going to end up getting postponed?
Oh, one more time. Yeah, like Daft Punk.
Well, it sounds like they are changing the rules because
because it's bullshit.
Well, the UK has changed.
They can make money.
They've completely 180'd on restrictions, mandates, passports, everything.
No masks. They're done.
They're done, which is a breath of fresh air. But so, assuming this game goes along, Arsenal with their tail kicked firmly between their legs in a game that they had a lot to say in early on, at least. No Partey, no Xhaka. Are you going to line up?
Partey did show up. He got back from Africa.
No. Partey,
he got a red card.
Partey showed up. He landed the same day.
Does that red card go to the league?
Yep.
Yes, they do.
It's all FA competitions.
Okay. So Xhaka and Partey both gotten red cards in that tie against Liverpool. They're both out. So they're going to be hurting in the defensive midfield. One would argue Xhaka is addition by subtraction, but Burnley might have something to say about this.
Burnley is exactly the team that Arsenal blow the doors off of.
I know, but this is historical Arsenal. This is a different Arsenal team, right? Like and listen, Martinelli will run roughshod over Burnley, excuse me. But is he going to play? Because he's sort of made of glass as well. We've been singing his praises for a year now. It pains me to say this as a gunner, but like he's great, but he can't stay on the field. So is Arteta going to play him 2 games in 4 days? I don't know.
This is classic Arsenal. They take these 4-4-2 cloud of dust goon teams and light them up and make you think that they're good.
Sure.
And then they play good teams and they lose.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, this is
embarrassingly.
Yes.
What I'm saying is coming off of the juice of a potential win at home over Liverpool. Squad doesn't matter. You beat the Jersey. You go to Wembley in a final against your rival. No.
It's a check. Again, a lot of Arsenal's season has been a check of how they handle things. So It's another moment. If they can come up and go, okay, this team's going to try and punch us in the face. We're depleted. They haven't played since the fucking cotton gin was created and the first strikes in the coal mines happened. And, all these things happened, since the massacre at Peterloo in 1618, whatever. Luke can look it up. I got it wrong. I think it's 1816. Sure. But, the mills will run on time in fucking Burnley. We're making fucking cotton. Okay. It's time. Or wool or whatever the fuck those.
Yeah.
And sweaters.
So but I would say even still of the 4 games, that is probably the least interesting. Your beloved Brighton.
Let's fucking go.
They're winning that game.
Going into Leicester.
You don't know how Brighton are. Brighton are not beating Leicester. They'll outplay them.
Let me rephrase. They're going to win the XG in that game.
Yes. They're going to outplay them. And then fucking our favorite French. I didn't rape her. Maybe. Mr. Mopé will score a goal in the last minute and get a draw.
Yeah. I think Leicester is interesting because the team that Spurs played was not the team that will show up on Sunday, and that's a good thing for Leicester. Harvey Barnes didn't feature. He came in late.
He
played 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
He's going to play on Sunday. James Justin made an appearance finally after almost a full year on the sidelines with an ACL injury. I was happy to see him back.
We have to talk about Brendan. Is he a loser?
Well, I'll give you the floor on that.
Even when he was winning, I thought he was kind of a loser, but he was winning, so it was all right.
Now he gets that FA Cup. He takes a Leicester team that, as much as everyone wants to say, oh, they're just glad to be there. They're glad to be there. They bottled 2 top 4 finishes. I mean, they collapsed both these seasons.
By another name.
What?
By another name, you'd call them bottlers, right? I'm happy to. I'm familiar with one of them.
Something is not fresh in Denmark, frankly. Like there's something about him, or maybe he needs to get over the hump, or maybe he just needs to do something. But something about his little stubby fingers and weird nose just make me. You don't have confidence. Like when you see Leicester up and doing things, you're just like, oh, okay. And then you think of the games against City where it's just like. They're down 4-0, and it's the most ass-kickingly ass-kicked anyone has been ass-kicked. But they come back, and they almost fucking tied the game.
Right, yeah.
At 4-4. So which team is it? And which is it because Rodgers can play when he's free and is an underdog? Like, the whole season in that 13-14, they They were way behind. They were way ahead of schedule. That team should never have been anywhere near that. But Luis Suarez went fucking interplanetary. And if he goes to Aston Villa, it's the greatest thing that's ever fucking happened.
I did hear that. I did
poetic.
hear that.
That's purely poetic.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter. Let's fucking
Oh, no.
go.
I mean that in the best. I mean, like, that has to happen. That's amazing.
But then Villa will still lose anyway, right?
That's
Like,
crazy.
who do Villa have? They have some weird team.
Yeah, no, they have Everton away.
No, they have Everton. Ooh, that's a weird game.
Yeah, it is.
That's the game.
Well, I feel that way about every time I see Everton and or Villa on the schedule. I go,
Yeah.
what are you? You know, not really. I mean, I have a better idea of what Villa are at this point, especially with Coutinho in the fold, especially they're starting to put the pieces all together again. And if they get Suarez, that's a hell of an addition. This is a game.
Oh, the
you
band
look at
back
this and you go,
together. That would
fun.
be
It'd
amazing.
be too fun.
yeah, you look at this and you go, Villa should win this game.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Danny Ings is just like, fuck.
Yeah. Right.
These guys, these Liverpool bastards don't get out of my way.
Well, he was on
Career.
Liverpool. And remember, he broke his fucking legs.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, wherever he is in his life,
He
somebody
was
from
literally
Liverpool's
supposed to
ruining
replace
his career.
Suarez. He was after Lambert. He came in.
Yeah.
No, I'm making the.
So
and then they can sell Ollie Watkins to Arsenal, and everything will work.
yeah, the
That is the other
ecosystem works. Yeah, I think Villa comes out strong. Everton's just so at a mess, but Big Duncan gets performances out of them, especially.
Well,
at
I mean,
home.
that's the thing. He's got that. He's going to give them fight. He's going to put the weight of history on them.
Talk about
Whereas
Englishness.
Benitez took
Yeah.
all of their history away from them.
Right.
Right. And it was all precision and tactical. And you play like this, but there was no warmth, no Everton-ness of it. But
Yeah.
with Duncan, there will be Everton-ness.
And I
He
do
also-
remember the last time he came in, they got a bump. They played, Chris said, like the king of Englishness might be Big Duncan, right?
Well,
like
he's Scottish, so be careful.
there you have. Okay, fine. But he's going to show up for this fucking game like Mel Gibson in Braveheart then.
You know the
You know?
story of him, right? Like someone trained to rob his house and he fucked the guy up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just threw him out.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like literally like a movie, like throw him out like the
Yeah.
saloon in Blazing Saddles, like threw him through the window sort of shit. Yeah.
That happens way too often in England where like the player is out and had his stuff stolen from his house. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
They don't have rules there. That's what the fuck is going on.
They have more. It's less crime than here, but it's weird how often that happens. Like,
Yeah.
they
It's
fucking
like
sc-
less
and
crime
like
statistically,
theft.
but it's like actually.
can you people just deal drugs? Like stealing stuff is really inefficient. You got to steal it. You got to sell it. You got to hope it doesn't get tracked. The guy's gonna be like, you might have stole this, but it's only it in Philadelphia. It's worth $50. You know what I mean? Like. You got to do stuff with it.
Yeah,
That's no
that's
fun.
a lot of work. It's
Like-
there's a whole conveyor belt, you know?
Yeah,
involved
you
there.
got to know a guy. It ends up like Snatch. Anyway,
Yeah, just sell trucks.
the dog eats the fucking diamond and runs away with the pikeys. It's a mess. I'm gonna end it. We got nothing.
No. Well, we've still got one more
Oh.
unfortunate game to fucking talk about.
Oh,
And we're
Oh,
going
your
back to
game.
Stamford Bridge. And I don't want to. And at the beginning of this stretch, now we didn't get to play Arsenal, but I did say that if you draw at the beginning of the stretch, it was 2 games against Chelsea, obviously in the
did
cup.
you want 4 points out of it?
I just wanted to beat Chelsea in the cup, draw Arsenal, and lose to Chelsea in the league, and I would have signed for that. We lost both legs in the cup.
Yeah.
We didn't get to play Arsenal, which I think, as I said on the last show, is going to work out to our benefit later in the season because we'll have Sonny and Romero back. But now we go back to the Bridge. The question is, does Bergwijn play now? I feel like the answer has to be yes, especially in lieu of Sonny still.
Well, Conte's such an emotional manager. You would think he might.
You have to kind of ride him a little bit. But the other thing is, I said it in our –
or save him.
No, you got to keep riding him because in the same way that when we talked about last season, right after the Crystal Palace shit kicking in that second half with Mourinho, the Liverpool game at Anfield, when Bergwijn hits the bar,
It's the end of the season.
it was the end of the season. It was at the end of him. It
Yeah, he was
killed
done.
him.
Yeah.
He got the social media abuse. He got everything. So
Yeah.
for him to have that moment and for him to have that confidence booster, not once but twice, and to lift the team from the depths of shit back to, frankly, a point off the top four.
Here's a question I have, though. When does Conte simply realize his best midfielder is Harry Kane?
Well,
that the answer that they've been looking for is Kane playing Firmino style or playing the 9 and the 10.
Well,
right?
We've said this a lot.
Right? Because with Bergwijn and Moura, they just run.
Right.
And if he drops deep, he can make those passes, right?
Yeah.
So that's the question I have. And then we have to very quickly touch on Mr. Eriksen going to Brentford.
Oh, God. Well, is that locked and loaded? Is that
No, I
yet?
think someone just saw that
More
fucking
Danish.
little red flag and was like,
Yeah.
Danish.
We'll discuss that when it happens. But, I mean, I it's not going to make me fall back in love with Brentford if that's what you're asking. I'm fucking done with them. I told them one more time, and they fucked me again, and that's it. Done with them.
They were
Off
so
of their
good.
heads.
They were so good in the first half.
I love them so much, though. I feel like shit going into the bridge again. I think we lose better than it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I think
the same issue keeps happening. It's just like even poorly playing Chelsea and even not at their best Liverpool are much better than the other teams in the league.
That's what we've said for a while, that there is a hard and fast line after the number 3 spot.
Although it has gotten small real fast. like Chelsea are just literally dropping to the pack, but because of draws, right? They're not losing.
The pack has been dropping back too. West Ham, United, Arsenal, Tottenham, all dropping points recently, right? So it's not so much that, Liverpool, you notice. No, hold on. Here's the difference.
Goodbye.
You notice when Liverpool and Chelsea drop points. You notice when they don't do well enough
which
or whatever.
is gone.
If one of those teams, right? Yeah, fuck you, City. If one of those other teams,
outside,
effectively the 5-man race for number 4, if they drop points, you almost don't notice because there's so many teams in that cluster. You're like, oh well, Tottenham are playing well. Well, West Ham are playing well. Well, United got 2 wins in a row.
But Chelsea don't want to get sucked in to make it a 6-man race for two spots.
Then they won't. They won't. You gotta understand that they still have to. There's 2 more games worth of shit, and I understand it's not that much, but it sort of is, right? Like, okay.
But the thing that I worry about is Tuchel's Germanness, that frankness, the thing that really gets him in trouble. It's just German personality. I think Klopp is the weird one. The most of the German, they're all fucking weirdos except for Klopp. Right. I think Klopp is feels really American in this weird way. It's like if he moved to California, it was like, I don't know why I never lived here before. You'd be like,
but I'm immediately part of the culture.
Yeah,
he just keeps talking about it until you believe it.
Yeah. You mean like Jurgen Klinsmann? That's happened before.
Yeah. Well, Jurgen Klinsmann, he lives in America. His kids are American. He's just like, he's barely German anymore.
Right.
But I think Klopp has that in him. But Tuchel is very if I were playing for him, I'd be like, yo, shut the fuck up.
He's a weird dude.
And I wonder, I have this question for you. And we can wrap up on this. Do you think that complaining that Klopp and Tuchel did during the Christmas period damaged his teams? Because Guardiola did not do it. He didn't take a shit on the schedule. He just said it is what it is. Now, it's easy to do when you have 25 guys that are worth $40 million each. But Klopp and Tuchel were just like, schedule. God.
The reason I think no is that impersonation was spot on. And that's exactly what he does every single year. Anytime we get to the festive period, when Liverpool had the Club World Cup, if we had, God forbid, we advance in a cup, he immediately just starts bitching and moaning about the schedule. So whether or not, I'm not even saying that it's not.
Yeah, but in this,
nothing is
maybe
bad. But I'm more saying that
I think there's something to be said for
this year.
I think the teams
we've had strong holiday periods too, and he's done this year in year out. So I just don't think that's going to be.
No, you did it once. Well, actually, no, that's not true.
No, I'm saying the bitching about the.
Oh yeah.
He's done that since he's been here.
Yeah,
and he's done it not just in the holiday period. That's a constant to me. So it's not going to be.
But I wonder with Tuchel, the Chelsea team is similar to PSG in that if the players want to, they get you fired.
In Chelsea?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of that culture is really sort of exited
Well,
the team.
it's
I
a part
think,
of
in
that.
general.
It's partly that, and it's also partly.
Unless
like
you're
I
the
was saying-
goalie, then you get fired.
Well, right. But it's also partly, the regime is trigger happy, right? They did to Frank Lampard, though they hired him too early, and we talked about that at the time. But
I think they kept him on too long.
yeah, but they threw out a club legend on the curb like he was a fucking schlub. So
they were right.
I'm not saying that they weren't. They were wrong to hire him in the first place, though.
Yeah, but
right?
they had the transfer ban. I don't think they thought he would do that well, and he did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and then they jumped. They were like, Tuchel's available. He's world class. Frank, I bet Marino was like, Frank, you're not as. We're doing it. I'm sorry. Like you get it. He'd be like,
Right.
all right, okay, because he's a loser as a coach. I don't know. I didn't like it. Anyway, I'm doing it. That was the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with brothers Salerno and Laurent Cortines. We are the football wing of El Chop Sports Network, the Chop Sports Network, and we are friends of Fan Hub. We record on Tuesdays and Fridays, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're listening on Apple, please rate and review the show because we still have 21. Why don't we have 22?